Woman, tell me why a guy can't even use a restroom without a foreigner invading.
Stephen Miller, you racist, bald chicken f***er.
I'm gonna have your job, you invader, and deport you.
Get out of the bathroom so I can clean up the puddle you left from masturbating.
Stephen Miller, your mother is at the main office with your hemorrhoid cream. Please report to the main office.
Douchebag.
Mommy. The PTA is an entity devoted to the defense of hardened criminals. We must abolish the PTA. They are a domestic extremist organization.
You pussy.
The misconception is that democracy works. Autocracy works better, especially if the autocrat agrees with your politics. Someday America will have a dictator, and all you laughing will wish you had his ear. I will. I am running for class president, so that anyone who has been mean to me or teased me or hurt me in any way will feel my wrath and power as I systematically destroy each and every last one of you, like the leftist mongrels booing me in here right now.
Watch this.
You mongrels know I am right. I'll show you. One day, Sarah, I will plant my boot on the neck of every one of these leftists, and they will know my name. And that name is Stephen Miller.
Stephen Miller, you are my top student, and someday you will be an important man. I'd like to help you become that man. I decided to chaperone the Fascist Club's trip to Chile to meet Augusto Pinochet.
The Hispanics are invading. They are invading. Deport them. Deport them all.
Stephen, you can't deport other students here. We go through this every day.
They're animals.
Let's hope you never work for the government. Ever. There he is. Let's get him.
I will not live in fear. The school will find you and take away your lunch money. Help. Help.
Really hate that sad loser, Mr. Newberger.
Who, me?
I love Mr. Newberger personally. Welcome to ViperTV Live. How's everybody doing out there in Radio Land? Good to see everybody. Man, so today's show, we're gonna be talking about communication. Communication is an important thing because words are the only things that we have to fight fascism, because violence is not something that we do. Apparently, no matter how much information you provide, it will never be enough. You show all the statistics that you want, and they'll still say, "Oh, the violence comes from the left," as judges' houses get, immolated right after Stephen Miller gives an opinion, if you will. I wouldn't call it a marching order, but hey, that's all in the eye of the beholder. Now, what we're talking about is, the legal system seems to be our only bulwark against fascism. It's been holding up in certain ways, and every time a ruling is made, then all of a sudden, instantly some threat seems to happen to whoever made it. Now, what basically keeps happening is that Trump appoints judges. Judges rule against him, and clearly he doesn't like that. Let me explain. Okay, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the page called Rubia Garcia II, but it's a great page. So, as everyone is aware, Donald J. Trump has been screaming about judges who rule against him, and we've all seen it, we've all heard it. Radical left, lunatic, rogue, or some variation thereof. But ironically, Many of his recent legal defeats are coming from his own appointees, judges he personally nominated during his term. But he didn't do it he didn't really pick those judges. See, the thing is he's given himself what he considers in his mind just this bank of judges that will do anything for him because he appointed them. Now, DJT himself has started crashing out on his advisors, especially, Federalist Society's Leonard Leo, for giving him bad advice on judicial nominations. It's always somebody else's fault, mind you. Now, if you've never heard of them before, the Federalist Society is their conservative legal network that has shaped GOP judicial nominations for decades. And if you want to know where DJT got the 3 SCOTUS justices currently sitting on the court, you thank Leonard Leo for that. It's because during that term, during DJT's first term, the White House outsourced almost all of its judges' selection to them, with its longtime Leonard Leo leading. Say that 5 times fast, a long-time leader, Leonard Leo, advising on the 3 SCOTUS picks, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett. But after all, several DJT appointed judges, including one on the U.S. Court of International Trade, which struck down his sweeping tariffs in May 2025, Trump turned on him. And Leo very publicly. Do you remember that? He literally turned on Leo, on camera, which I couldn't fucking believe it personally, because I was like, that's the dude that put Clarence Thomas in there too, my opinion. Leonard Leo is... Just look at his connection to the Supreme Court and what Sheldon Whitehouse has discovered. Sheldon Whitehouse is going to be remembered throughout history as the person who uncovered the dark money that runs SCOTUS. But, Trump did what he usually does, which is crash out online and call Leo a sleazebag who probably hates America and blame the Federalist Society for giving him bad advice on nominations. And the drama rock conservatives like Leo had been lockstep in engineering the conservative supermajority the DJT now boasts about. Now, when Trump throws aside and says he's got bad advice on judges, he's referring to Federalist Society or Leonard Leo's role in shaping those recommendations to begin with, meaning he's essentially turning on the very group that helped build his entire judicial legacy. I remember hearing once throughout history, they put Hitler in and they said that they'd be able to control him. It was fine. I remember that. Do you remember that? Pepperidge Farm remembers that. And it's wild to witness, honestly, because it's all together. It's not surprising. I mean, he turns on everyone eventually. It's like Roy Cohn 101. He literally turned on Roy Cohn at the end. When Roy Cohn had AIDS and Trump refused to visit him, Roy Cohn said that Trump pisses ice water. That's a real quote. Anyway, he turns on everyone eventually, and even Epstein said that, so why all the rage? Because those supposedly loyal handpicked judges keep rejecting his overreaches, even ones that he picked this term, blocking things like National Guard deployments in Oregon, or his mass deportation orders, or even his tariff power grab. These aren't liberal appointees, gang. These are his people. Ruling that even a president has limits, which I'm so thankful for. This is literally our only bulwark because, apparently Stephen Miller thinks that the president has plenary authority. And the thing is the Trump-appointed judges haven't just ruled against his policies. Some have openly warned about his push to expand executive power and erode checks and balances. U.S. District Judge Thomas Cullen, a first-term Trump appointee, rebuked him for a smear campaign against the judiciary, calling it unprecedented and unfortunate. After the administration sued the entire Maryland Federal District Court bench, yes, he literally sued every judge, to try to block a 48-hour delay policy the court had put in place for urgent deportation cases, which gave judges a short window to act before individuals were removed. Cullen rejected the lawsuit as defective, saying it was an improper way to challenge the court's administrative procedures. And that wasn't just the first time. And the thing is, it wasn't just him at that point. Trump-appointed judges all across the country have delivered some of the harshest rulings in his second term. Here's a couple of examples, and I hope this will kind of give you a sliver of hope, because the more rulings that come out, the more it seems like it's the judiciary that seems to still honors things like, I don't know, the Constitution. The thing is I'm going to give you a couple examples, and I really do hope that, this helps enlighten the mood that you're in currently. The most recent you'd remember was just days ago. Judge Karen Immergut, first-term Trump appointee, Oregon, ruled that his plan to send the National Guard into Portland was untethered from reality and risk plunging the nation into unconstitutional military rules, saying this country is one of constitutional, not martial law. She then expanded it to include no National Guard from any state after Trump threatened to send in the Texas National Guard, and he did so yesterday. Judge Tim Kelly, first-term appointee from D.C., blocked a secret middle-of-the-night deportation of Guatemalan children after finding out the administration's claim that it was reuniting families, and that crumbled like a house of cards when Guatemala itself disputed it, ruling the move likely violated federal law. Judge Trevor McFadden, first-term Trump appointee, D.C., ruled the White House unconstitutionally barred the Associated Press from Oval Office events after it refused to use Trump's Gulf of America label. Man, there's so much doublespeak. I continually have to use these air quotes. I feel like I'm Don Jr. The only thing I'm missing is the key bumps. Claiming that it was reuniting families crumbled like a house of cards when Guatemala itself disputed it, ruling that the move likely violated federal law. Now, Judge Trevor McFadden, first-term of Trump appointee in D.C., ruled the White House unconstitutionally barred. Yes, I already said this about the Oval Office and about Guatemala. Sorry, there's so many, it's really easy to get lost in the list. Is now Judge Timothy Reif, first-term Trump appointee, U.S. Court of International Trade, joined a panel ruling that Trump lacked legal authority to unilaterally impose sweeping tariffs, a power reserved for Congress under Article 1. A federal appeals court upheld the decision, now pending before the SCOTUS, as mentioned. Now, anything that goes before the SCOTUS, well, it's interesting that we see a 20-4 so far difference in ruling for Trump as against him. But, he came out against Leonard Leo. He turns on everybody. It's insane. So, Judge Stephanie Gallagher, first-term Trump appointee in Maryland, ordered the administration to return Daniel Lozano Camargo, a Venezuelan resident of Texas who'd been deported to El Salvador under the Alien Enemies Act. Unlike others, Lozano Camargo was protected by a 2024 settlement requiring his pending asylum claim to be resolved before removal. Now, Gallagher's ruling followed the lead of her colleague, Judge Paula Zenas, who issued a similar order in the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Do we see the pattern that's happening here? Judge Kyle Dudek, MD of Florida, who was confirmed just 2 weeks before ruling against the administration, along with several other first-term DJT appointees, Dominic Lanza of Arizona, Rebecca Jennings of Kentucky, Eric Tostrad of Minnesota. They struck down the administration's attempt to vastly expand detention for immigrants by denying bond hearings. Even to those who have lived in the U.S. for decades, the judges warned that the policy was illegal and could trap millions in detention while they pursue their cases. This goes on and on and on. What I'm pointing out is that the legal bulwark is holding for now. Now, the appeals court and the Supreme Court, those are whole different monkeys. But we're coming up with good precedent. We're coming up with good ruling, especially now that anytime that one of these cases come up, we can point out the fact that Stephen Miller claimed that there was plenary authority. I'm not sure if you caught when Chris Murphy basically exposed Trump's entire plan. Like, he had just one big graphic, and it had it going down item by item. And Joe Beam writes, U.S. Senator Chris Murphy is one of the most outspoken members of the Democratic Party. It took to the Senate floor to explain what he says is Donald Trump's enacting a well-thought-out plan that he and his allies can rule forever. Now, let's unpack that. Well, we aren't on the verge of an authoritarian takeover, the Connecticut Democrat declared. We are in the middle of it. But I worry people don't see the whole scheme. They just pay attention to each new daily outrage. And that's why I'm here to break this down, because I feel that we not only can look at what the courts are ruling, but now that this has come to light, we can talk about this. We can make content. We can be loud about this. He detailed what he says is the Trump administration's 5-point plan. Step 1, turn the justice system into a political witch hunt operation that punishes critics for free speech and immunizes loyalists for actual criminality, as in indicting Comey, indicting Letitia James, and also having a round table of people telling him all the horrible things about Antifa. So there's a great example of both of those. And we're seeing this at a scale right now. He said an indictment of James Comey for no crime. Murphy explained that no prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Virginia would sign the indictment. Now, President Trump has sent his personal lawyer to take over that office because only she would sign that indictment. So Murphy explained that the goal is not only to arrest everyone who opposes the president, but rather to just put enough fear into the ranks of those who might speak truth to power so they might stay quiet. Now, step 2. Use government power to compel the media to tell only the regime's narrative and silence critics. He explained that that would include eliminating the free press and replacing it with state media. I don't know that I'd go as far as to say we have state-run media in the United States yet, but there's an attempt underway to try to use the vast regulatory powers of the administration to censor media. We've all heard Brendan Carr from the FCC say this. This includes threatening to pull TV stations' licenses, as well as the consolidation of media into the hands of the allies of the president. Yeah, take a look. Who's buying up all of the media? And if you notice, during every press conference, there's staged reporters in there asking questions to just try to get a soundbite that, continues the regime's narrative. So here we go. Step 3, use the military to perform political intimidation in places with high levels of opposition to the regime. He said sending the military to blue cities is illegal, but is designated to once again quell dissent and protest. This isn't about public safety, gang. This is about political intimidation, Murphy alleged. And you're just naive if you think that folks aren't going to be a little less interested in showing up at a protest if they're worried about getting roughed up by law enforcement. Step 4, seize and control Congress's spending and tax powers to use those powers to reward loyalists and punish opponents. He cannot understand why there's not bipartisan agreement among Democratic and Republican lawmakers to oppose Trump seizing Congress's power to tax and spend. Number 5, rig the rules and the information. Tilt the election playing field your way and destroy the idea of truth. This includes Trump demanding red states redraw congressional districts to allow the GOP to add more seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. Now, totalitarian states can't accept truth, so they try to destroy truth. And that's what Trump's doing. I know this sounds extreme, Murphy wrote. It is. This is the break the glass moment. I know I sound overly alarmist, he continued. I don't think I am. Trump is enacting a well-thought-out plan so he and his allies can rule forever, but it's not too late to stop them. If you allow yourself to connect the dots, you allow yourself to see the whole story, the totality of this story. You'll see the grave danger that we're in, and it's all about communication. What we're talking about are living in two different realities because of propaganda. And what do I mean by that? Well, gang, let's take a look at this. intentionally lost in translation. I love the Jim Carrey gif that's going on the side, because I showed this this meme to Facebook, and the people that were looking at it were feeling the exact same amount of insanity that I was as I was reading it. Like, as you can see, there's the gif, like, ah! What do we mean? Well, we're intentionally lost in translation. Intentionally losing things in translation makes it so that they can use hyperbole to their advantage. Let's run down this little list. Ooh, we got a troll. Oh, what's up, Ryan? Get the Civil War going so I can smack some liberal ass. Okay, is that before or after my friend controls the water supply in your town with the software that he wrote? Anyway, intentionally lost in translation. Democrats, we'd like cops to stop killing minorities. Republicans, Democrats hate police. Democrats, women should have the right to choose. Republicans, Democrats want to kill babies. Democrats, we want reasonable immigration policies. Republicans, Democrats want open borders. Do we see what's happening here with the messaging? Democrats, we kneel in protest of inequality. Republicans, Democrats hate the flag, soldiers, and America. By the way, I am a veteran. Democrats, we should wear masks to protect others. Democrats want to take away your freedom. They have no problem wearing masks when they're ICE, though. Democrats, we should have background checks. Republicans, Democrats want to take your guns. Well, actually, it's Pam Bondi that wants to take your guns. It's really, really simple. Go ahead and replay some of the footage from her being early in the administration talking about taking your guns. Democrats, feds should not be policing in cities. Republicans, Democrats encourage rioting. Democrats, people should have a living wage. Republicans, Democrats want to give everyone free stuff. Democrats, we want religious freedom for everyone. Republicans, Democrats want Sharia law, which technically Republicans do want Sharia law. If you look at Christian nationalism, that's exactly what it is. It's just, with a different book and a different flag. Democrats, taxes should be used for the benefit of everyone. Republicans, Democrats want socialism. Do we see what we're talking about here by communication? And it's really, really easy to take low information voters and feed them propaganda like that, because then it's just lost in translation. You see how that works? Now, with that being said, we are in the middle of a government shutdown. Now, we're in the middle of a government shutdown because we have a Republican supermajority in the House, the Senate, and the executive branch, and they can't govern. What do I mean by governing? They don't know how to do the art of compromise to create bipartisanship, because that's what the Congress is all about, is bipartisanship to help advance bills that help the American people. But as part of the strategy, as you could even see when Pam Bondi testified, is the idea is to not work with Democrats, just to give them the fucking finger, and then just turn around and try to blame everything on them. But luckily, everybody actually has information at their fingertips, at the internet. So when the Republicans say that the Democrats shut down the government, first off, if you can't govern, if you have all three branches, it means you can't fucking govern. Number one. Number two, don't blame it on the minority party that has no power. Number three, they say they shut it down because they want to give health care to undocumented immigrants. And anybody that has a Google machine right in front of them knows that the ACA does not cover that. But when in doubt, go ahead and shift the blame to immigrants or trans people to cover for your lack of ability to govern. It just so happens that now MAGA is starting to see that, well, the Democrats were right, because they're seeing their health care go up, 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 up. They're seeing it double, triple, even quadruple, especially at the end of this month when they get their very first bill, because those subsidies are going to be going away. And that's what the Democrats are fighting for. Like, for fuck's sake, how hard is it to give people health care? I just don't understand how that's such an unpopular stance. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up the press conference that just happened with the Republican leadership. And I'm going to debunk their lies in real time. Welcome to ViperTV Live, everybody. Oh, hold on a second. Let me go ahead and adjust that. Because for the typical low information voter out there, it's really easy to get sucked into propaganda. And it's really easy to get sucked into talking points. But when you're somebody that actually pays attention to the comings and goings of Congress, then you know exactly how it works, and you know how messaging works. So let's let it rip.
Well, good morning. Leader Chuck Schumer may think that every day that goes by, the shutdown gets better for the political prospects of the Democrats.
Okay, remember what I just showed you about the whole lost in translation thing? That's what they're doing. Every day the shutdown goes on is better for Democrats, is what Chuck Schumer said. Yes, but what does he mean? It's better for Democrats in showing that who is at work right now? If I'm not mistaken, the Democrats are in the House of Representatives working. Where are the Republicans? They're literally out on vacation. They're not in the House to work. So they're not going to say that, but that's important for you to know. Just that little small detail. How the fuck are you going to work when you're not even in the House? But they expect the low information voter who blames everything on immigrants and trans people to immediately buy this line of bullshit. Look it up for yourself.
Every day that it goes by, it gets a lot worse for the American people. Now, Democrats, senators might start to feel that a little bit personally when they try to fly out of airports, and you see some of the impacts that are already occurring with respect to TSA and air traffic control. And families around the country are already seeing the impacts, and it's about to get a whole lot worse. Because we just needed 5 more votes, 5 more Democrat votes that the Democrats wouldn't give us yesterday.
Well, they also refused to come to the table in a bipartisan fashion and fund Americans' health care, instead using platitudes about health care for illegal immigrants. So, as you hear these lies continue, understand that they have all 3 branches. They refuse to give the Democrats one concession, which is fucking health care. And they're going to use this to try to blame Democrats for the shutdown when all 3 branches of power are Republican.
American people are going to miss a lot more and feel a lot more pain and miss a lot more paychecks in the very near future. So shame on the Democrats. Shame on the Democrats for doing this to the American people. I mean, look at that. Really? Every day gets better for us? Every day gets better for us.
Yeah, it shows that they genuinely have no interest in compromising to try to bring health care costs to regular working class Americans. It does. It every day is better for the Democrats because all it does is solidify our point. But once more, lost in translation.
Their thought about what this shutdown means. So shame on the Democrats for what they're doing to the American people.
That's literally all they have. They have a quote taken out of context for them to try to then spin the narrative around. Just like they're trying to say that with January 6th, with the senators' phones being wiretapped, no, the information was actually retrieved. It's not our fault that they helped plan the Jan 6 coup, and they're getting pissy that it's starting to get uncovered, so they're going to play victim about it.
Republicans want our troops to get paid. We want our traffic controllers to get paid. We want our TSA agents to get paid. We want our border control agents to get paid. And we have voted that way now in the United States Senate 7 times to open.
Yeah, but you're still thinking that it's going to be your way or the highway. The Democrats are just going to fold and pass your bill without even trying to fight for health care. See, that's what you're used to, is just being able to shove the Democrats around and them just capitulate on a CR, and then them say, well, if you open the government now, because they're going to probably say this shit, if you open the government now, we can vote on health care later. No, we've seen what happens when Charlie Brown runs. Lucy pulls the fucking football away every time.
Open up the government. Democrats in the Senate are the last hurdle. The last hurdle.
You can't govern. You have all three branches.
In the American people back to work. But what? Instead, they've decided to pander to their far-left activist base who are cheering what's going on here.
No.
And the Democrats tend to be so afraid, I guess is the only thing, or running scared from that far-left activist base, that they are willing to put that ahead.
No, it's called we don't fucking want our constituents' healthcare prices to go all the way up to 4 times more than they are. It's not that they're capitulating to their base, it's that they actually give a fuck about their constituents, as opposed to the big, beautiful bill, big bullshit bill, as I like to call it, that solidified tax cuts for the richest. See, that's what they love to do. They love to pander to the rich and then make sure that it's the working class who pay for it, but then turn around and sell lies to get people to look to the Democrats as bad people, when the Democrats literally are trying to look out for the working class. But they know that low information voters will use not only cognitive dissonance, but also preconceived biases to use the lost in translation spin that I just showed earlier. It's so important to understand this.
Of what's in the best interest of the American people. Well, it's time for them to get a backbone. It's really time for the Senate Democrats to show a little courage.
What he says is it's time for the Democrats to capitulate to exactly what our demands are and for us to run a victory lap. That's exactly what he means.
And put the American people ahead of their far-left activist base. They have a simple choice in front of them. Open up the government. Quit playing politics. Quit talking about how it gets better for us because we're looking at the polling and we think that we're winning. This is all that...
No, it's the American people aren't stupid, and they know that you run all 3 branches, and it's your fucking fault, and that you're trying to pass the buck, because that's, Roy Cohn 101, never ever take blame, always deflect, deny. So that's exactly what's going on. Like I said, there's a reason I showed you the lost in translation slide before we went into this. It's important to understand political messaging.
This is all that's between this country and their government being open again. It's this bill. You've seen it before. It's passed the House of Representatives. It's sitting at the desk of the Senate. It could be picked up and passed today, put on the President's desk where he has said he will sign it into law. The government opens back up. People get paid. Troops get paid. Air traffic controllers get paid. TSA agents get paid, Border Patrol agents get paid, and we get...
Okay, well, you're the ones in charge. Why the fuck can't you say, yeah, we can give health care to Americans and then get everybody paid and give health care to people? But you have to insist on holding that party line because Trump doesn't want to do it. He's even said, like in press conferences, we're looking forward to using this time to cut programs that Democrats like. Probably shit like SNAP, because, like I said, the Republicans cater to the rich. They don't give a fuck about the poor. And when he says Democrat programs, that's what he means. That's exactly what Trump means. They've said the quiet part out loud already with Stephen Miller saying that Trump has plenary authority. It means we don't need to compromise with the Democrats. But as long as we keep lying and messaging, we can make the Democrats look bad. But the American people know that who's in power? The people in power are the ones who get fucking blamed.
Get back to working on behalf of the American people. That's what that's really, this is it. This is all that is between this country being back to work again, and it's 5 Democrats in the United States Senate. We have a majority of United States senators. 55 out of 100 senators are voting to open up the government. We need 5 bold, courageous Democrats with a backbone who are willing to take on.
Oh, you mean kind of like we said we needed that many courageous Republicans with a backbone to stand up against the big bullshit bill that would add so much to the national debt, that would wipe out anything that Elon Musk considered that he saved from Doge, which we all know that was just a ploy to get our information to Peter Thiel for fucking Palantir. But hey, we gave them the option to not do this. They decided to go against it. That's why when Mike Lawler stood up against Hakeem Jeffries the other day in the hall, Hakeem was like, wait a minute, let me ask you a question. You voted on the big ugly bill, right? You voted on that? Okay, so we know where you stand. And the American people aren't stupid. They have more information readily in front of their fingertips than before. It's just a matter of if they're going to use cognitive dissonance to wash the facts away, because gaslighting yourself makes sure that you're never wrong. So that truly depends on the independent voter.
On their far left activist base, join us in passing this, to do it anytime. Send it to the president, he'll sign it into law. It's that simple. Something they've done 13 times when they had the majority here in the United States Senate and President Biden in the White House. 13 different times. Continuing resolutions are a routine practice around here. They don't get hijacked for extraneous policy writers, and we didn't do that. No gimmicks, no policy writers, no partisan attachments to the bill that came over that the Speaker and the House passed and sent to the Senate. It's just a straight-up bill to keep our government open so we can continue the appropriations process and get back to it.
This will be the only time that the Democrats have the ability to try to fight for health care right now. And you can laugh, cry, whine, dance, and sing all you want to, John Thune. We're going to use this opportunity to make sure that we're not going to let you fuck people out of their health care. I mean, it's bad enough that, you'll fight against the ability for everybody to have health care, but, for them to at least have like semi-cheap health care. We realize you're rich and this kind of thing doesn't matter to you, but people shouldn't go broke from a fucking medical bill.
Work for the American people. Speaker Johnson.
Oh my God, he's so small.
Leader Thune for strong principled leadership over here in the Senate. They have held the line and done the right thing. I'm so delighted that he keeps holding up our House product here. Obviously, this is something we're very proud of. Why? Because it is a clean seal.
You can't even change it if you wanted to. Even if you wanted to do an amendment, everybody is out of town. You sent your entire caucus on vacation. They don't want to work. They just want to blame shift.
And what is so historic about what's happening right now is that never in history, never before have you been able to write that a party closed the government over a clean CR. This is the first time. These political
it's not a clean CR.
Are frankly ridiculous, and real Americans are being hurt.
Now, this is probably about yeah, about the 6th time that there's been a no vote. So I imagine he's probably going to start crashing out a little bit because, like I said, they're used to being able to bully the Democrats around and then just go ahead and capitulating. But for the first time, they're not getting their way. And I've said it in previous streams. They were basically an abuser asking their victim to co-sign on a loan for them. Treat them like shit the whole time and then be like, well, I need your help. No. Especially when we know what your plans actually are. I mean, we've seen the tax cuts. We've seen the funding for ICE. It's not gonna work this time. Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time.
In my press conference a few hours ago, many or most of you were there, and we talked about how Chuck Schumer is very clearly, and the Democrats, who are his accomplices here in the Senate, are very clearly causing pain for the American people for their own political survival. And I shared a couple of headlines. I'll share them here again. Politico yesterday, their headline, quote, Chuck Schumer's critics are satisfied. See, he's trying to appease the radical left base of his party. That's clearly what's going on, and no one can deny it. And apparently it's having the desired effect. Here's another one. CNN reported yesterday, Democrats say even missed paychecks for U.S. troops won't be enough to end the shutdown alone. It continues. The co-founder of Indivisible, radical left group, as you know.
No, what they're saying is you're going to get blamed, Republicans. You're trying to shift it. What they're pointing out is that all you have to do is come and have a negotiation to give people health care and troops won't miss their paychecks. See, you keep trying to spin this, but it's not working because everybody can see right through the lie.
No, Chuck Schumer hasn't surrendered yet. Quote, I call that progress. David Hogg, the former DNC vice chair, too radical even for the DNC. They kicked him out. Okay, he said yesterday, we give credit where credit is due. This is a big step up for Chuck Schumer. There was Democrat aide. This one's pretty amazing. CNN reported a few hours ago. The shutdown will last as long. This is the aide reporting on what's being said behind closed doors with the senators on the Democrat side. The shutdown will last as long as public perception is on their side, short of, quote, planes falling out of the sky. Because air traffic controllers are experiencing a shortage now, I guess. I mean, it's just absolutely stunning. The Republican Congress has voted 8 times now. Once in the House, 17.
Right. That's 8 times they expected Democrats to capitulate, and they didn't. And they're crashing out now because the messaging is not working. All the polls show that Republicans are blamed for the shutdown because they have all 3 branches of power, including the Supreme Court, I go as far as to say.
Times in the Senate. In fact, Lily, will you bring that up? I think visual aids are helpful sometimes because they're trying to obscure these simple facts. Okay, these are the facts.
Hey, yes, let's look at this visual aid, gang. That's 8 times that the GOP could have given America health care. That's 8 times that the GOP could have not lied and said that the reason the Democrats are not voting with them is because they want to give health care to undocumented immigrants. That's 8 times that they could have said that, okay, let's reopen the government. Let's pay the troops and simultaneously ensure that Americans don't go broke from a medical bill. But no, they got to toe that party line, man. I'm telling you. Stephen Miller gave it all away. Plenary authority. It's what they expect. And they expect us to capitulate. And they think that bad messaging is going to make us capitulate.
Republicans in Congress have now voted 8 times to pay the troops and all other federal workers. We did it on September 19th in the House 3 weeks ago today. And now the Senate, under Leader Thune's leadership, has voted 8 times. These are the dates. September 19th they did it. September 30th. October 1st and 3rd and 6th and 8th and 9th. Over and over and over. The Republicans voted to open the government and pay the troops. And the Democrats every single time voted for them not to be paid. Not to pay TSA agents. if your flight's canceled today, you can blame it on the Democrats. They are the ones that are.
They genuinely are trying this messaging to make it. It's not working. We realize that you're crashing out because you're not getting your way, but sorry, that's just how it goes. You have all three branches. If you can't keep the government open, you can't govern.
Making sure that air traffic controllers have shortages. We don't want planes falling out of the sky, for heaven's sake. They're making a mockery
is that why
of this.
Doge cut so much money?
It is outrageous to us. You got two very even-tempered guys here. Thank you, Lily. You got two very even-tempered guys here. We don't get upset a lot. We don't get our feathers
he's
ruffled,
crashing out.
But this is so outrageous. It's so beyond the pale because
This is so beyond the pale. I can't believe it. I'm so used to them capitulating the moment that we tell them they're going to get any kind of bad messaging. I can't believe for once our bully tactics aren't working. That's all I'm hearing right now.
hurt. You got 700,000 federal workers that will receive paychecks today.
And you don't give a fuck.
Followed by an additional 400,000 workers on 10/14. That's their last paycheck. That is the last paycheck they're going to have until the Democrats reopen the government. You got 1.3 million troops, active duty soldiers and airmen, sailors. They're going to miss.
Yeah, every single time that you say until the Democrats open the government, you're saying until we decide that Americans deserve health care. Do you see how that works, Mike Johnson? I can play this fucking game too. You want to use bad interpretation? Let's go ahead and let's roll for it. Let's go 1 for 1.
It's their check on October 15th because the Democrats dug their heels in and showed that they didn't care.
No, because the Democrats dug their heels in and showed for once that they're not going to capitulate, and you're crashing out. We can see it. The world can see it. We'll look at the clip with Mike Lawler and Hakeem Jeffries. Exact same thing. Go ahead and look it up. Look at the clip. Mike Lawler's crashing out until Hakeem says, "You're embarrassing yourself right now. Look at this. Look at this. You're embarrassing yourself." And that's what they're doing. These crocodile tears, this feigned just indignation. No, it's not working. I'm sorry. You have all three branches.
Voted not to pay these people who are serving and protecting all the rest of us. You have 2 million federal civilian workers and 1.3 million active duty military service members who are not going to be harmed. You also have Veterans Health Services and nutrition programs for young mothers and infants. They're all being stalled and encumbered. You got
No. You don't get to act like you give a half a fuck about nutrition programs when it comes to women and mothers. When you cut how much from SNAP? When you cut how much from WIC to pay for tax breaks for billionaires? No. You can turn that sideways and stick it right up your ass because we see through that like it's crystal.
FEMA services, flood insurance.
You don't give a fuck about FEMA either. You took those funds to build Alligator Alcatraz. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, because I'm so tired of people just listening to what he's saying and just going with it because they have absolutely no political context to go off of whatsoever.
Policies that can't be renewed or written while this is all shut down in the middle of a hurricane season. It goes on and on and on. The harm is real. It is very damaging, and it is outrageous to us that Democrats are playing games so they can appease their base. Now, we've heard, and I'll turn it back over.
No, that you won't compromise because you want to appease Donald Trump. Every accusation is a confession. I'm just going to start calling them accufessions now.
For the leader, take some questions, but we've heard, and many of you have reported already, this Hate America rally that they have coming up for October 18th. The Antifa crowd and the pro-Hamas crowd and the Marxists, they're all...
Oh, go fuck yourself. It's not a Hate America rally. It's a No Kings rally. It's because, as you said, Antifa, is going to be there. Yeah, anti-fascists are good. No kings are good. You want a king. You want plenary authority. Stephen Miller said the quiet part out loud. You don't get to back away from this. You don't get to say it's pro-Hamas and all these other... No, it's people who think that there shouldn't be a fucking king. It's people who think that the taxation powers belong to the Congress in Article 1 of the fucking Constitution. Your gaslighting messaging is shit.
We're all going to gather on the mall. We got some House Democrats selling T-shirts for this event. It is an outrageous gathering for outrageous purposes, but the Democrats in the Senate have shown that they're afraid of that crowd. That they don't want to bow. They want to bow to them, bow the knee to them, and they don't want to take...
Hey, another accusation. You're afraid that if you vote against it, you're going to get... Same thing that happened to Senator Langford. He got physically threatened if he moved the immigration bill during an election year because they would rather have a problem to run off of than solve it.
Incoming from them. And so they're willing to hold the American people hostage so that they don't have to face an angry mob that's a big chunk of their base.
Oh my God, like seriously, the accusations just don't stop. One of the reasons that I loved Kayleigh McEnany as press secretary for the first administration is I could just believe the opposite of what she said and then do a quick research for myself and find that I was correct. And it's kind of the same with Caroline Leavitt. So these accusations, they just keep rolling in, and every time that you hear something like that, like they're being held captive to their violent mob base. Okay, was it the violent mob base that stormed the Capitol? And before anybody says, no, it was Antifa that did it, okay, then why did Trump pardon a bunch of Antifa? Okay, like, we got to work on the same plane of reality here.
If that's a rumor, they need to come out and clarify that it's not, but that is what we are hearing is their actual motivation.
No, you're making shit up.
All this has got to come to an end. Turn it back over to the leader.
Good afternoon. 55 votes, you say. Why not go ahead and use this as an opportunity if things are so dire to get rid of the filibuster? Use the nuclear option.
And there it is. The one question that they've been dreading, because that is true. They could nuke the filibuster to do this. But you know why they won't? Because they know what the midterms are looking like right now. And it's not looking good for the Republicans. So I fancy that that is the only reason that they haven't done that, because I've already thought, why don't they nuke the filibuster? And nobody has confronted them with this question yet. So let's see what the response is.
Well, that's the filibuster, as you know, supermajority requirement is something that makes the Senate the Senate. And honestly, if we had done that, there's a whole lot of bad things that could have been done by the other side. 60 to vote threat.
There it is, right there. They're worried about the midterms because they're going to be in the minority. And if they nuke the filibuster, then they're fucked.
Threshold has protected this country, and frankly, that's what I think this last election was largely about, because if the Democrats had won the majority, they probably would have tried to nuke the filibuster. And then you'd have 4 new United States senators from Puerto Rico and the District of Columbia. You'd have a packed Supreme Court.
Okay, man, that was the quiet part out loud. They don't want representation for D.C. They don't want representation for Puerto Rico. And they're afraid that we would do the same with the SCOTUS, just like they just did. Like I don't know, putting Barrett on the bench during an election year, the same thing that McConnell and Lindsey Graham wouldn't let Obama do with Merrick Garland. And we all saw how fucking worthless Merrick Garland turned out to be anyway.
You'd have abortion on demand, a whole bunch of things that were on that laundry list. They had about 6 or 7 things that they were going to do when they nuked the filibuster. And so the filibuster protects. It's been a voice for the minority. It gives the minority a say in what happens in this country. The founders created the Senate.
And we're going to be in the minority after the midterms.
For that specific reason. And so it's just really not that complicated. All it takes is a little backbone, a little courage on behalf of 5 Democrats to do what they have done. And
a little backbone, a little courage on behalf of telling Trump, we have to compromise, we have to fund this health care, and we have to open the government, and it's not going to be on our terms. We're going to have to take the L. And if you've ever been in a political discussion with a low information voter, they cannot take the L. There's always going to be some whataboutism, more the goalpost is going to get moved. So that's what they just depend on, is people that just take these little talking points and just run with it, like Dunning-Kruger on acid.
What we've done for decades when it comes to funding the government. Continuing resolutions, as we pointed out 13 different times in the last 4 years with the Biden in the White House and the Democrats with the majority in the Senate, this was done. It's a routine thing. And it's just, this is outrageous what they are doing. And it is. They ought to be ashamed, because this just doesn't get done. You don't hijack the federal government to try and create $1.5 trillion in new spending, free health care for non-citizens, and you can go right down the list. I mean, this isn't even realistic. I mean, they're not serious people, and it's time they came to their senses and did the right thing for the American people.
No, nobody's pressure.
Well, there's always pressure.
No, you're just crashing out because you're not getting your way for once. It's not that they're not serious people. It's that you're not getting your way, so therefore you need to insult them. And by insulting them, they think that that'll actually bring them to the table. I'm pretty sure all of these guys are in abusive relationships.
On the filibuster, sure, yeah. I mean, you there are folks out there who think that is the way we ought to do things around here, simple majority. But I can tell you that the filibuster through the years has been something that's been a bulwark against a lot of really bad things happening to the country.
Leader.
Yeah.
Speaker Johnson, he's suggested that a military pay bill cannot pass the Senate. Is that your understanding? Do you think a military pay bill would be blocked by Democrats? Or
well, there's
do you think you're going to try it?
Military pay bill right here.
No. Don't even try that bullshit. A Republican, Elise Stefanik, put forward legislation that could pay just the troops, right? And they said, no, we're not going to bring that and vote on it. A, because the fucking House is half empty because the Republicans are on vacation, and B, because that wouldn't give them the entire total win that they want to have from this bill. That would mean that they did some sort of concession with the Democrats. And one thing about fascism is there's no neutrality in the middle. It's extremes on both sides, because this equals nuance. And the definition of tyranny is the absence of nuance. So even somebody from their own caucus said, hey, let's pay the troops with this legislation. They said, no, if you do that, you're going to piss on the grand design.
I mean, I just don't know what I honestly...
I know that Elise Stefanik offered this, and I have to lie to you.
There's 5 votes, and the military gets paid.
Nope, you're lying.
Do you know whether Trump is going to try to move money around to pay the troops, and do you think that is something he should be doing?
I suspect that they're probably going to be, pretty soon, they're going to have to do some things. I think, to their credit, the White House has now for 10 days laid off doing anything in hopes that enough Senate Democrats would come to their senses. And
oh, you mean they didn't just start firing people that were furloughed like they threatened to do if this went through? Like, basically saying that they would lose their jobs because of the Democrats. They tried every single manipulative tactic that you can possibly think of to try to get them to capitulate, and they still haven't done it. And they're crashing out about it because now they're the press is asking, well, what's Trump going to do to fund the troops? We know that that's not how that works, but the low information voter doesn't know that. So now that question is in the ether. Is Trump going to sign legislation just to fund the troops? Now, is he going to only fund Republican troops? Because when he, continually talks about everything being partisan, now we're starting to get into the fucking weeds.
And do the right thing and fund the government. But now, now that we're getting these where people are going to start missing paychecks, this gets real. This gets real for families, a lot of military families who live paycheck to paycheck, a lot of American families who live paycheck to paycheck who are federal employees.
And why do you think people live paycheck to paycheck? Oh, it's probably because you've struck down minimum wage. It's because you've done anything you can to ensure that inflation hasn't come down. Corporations are making more than they ever made before. But if you can find some way to turn around and blame it on trans people and immigrants, you will, because you cannot govern.
I just think that the White House, my expectation is, yes, they're going to have to start making some decisions about how to move money around, which agencies and departments are going to be impacted, which programs are going to be impacted, which employees are going to be impacted. That's what a shutdown does. You put the administration and this presidency in a position where they're going to have to make some hard decisions.
Yesterday you discussed, or reported that you discussed giving a date certain for a vote, or giving some sort of assurance that there would be a vote on a Obamacare tax credit bill. Could you talk through that, what you're thinking, and what happened there?
Well, I mean, I think that the Democrats, there are some Democrats who I think are reasonable enough to know this is not a sustainable position for them, who are looking for a way to get something in this conversation that would enable them to have the issue that they say they care about here addressed. And I've said all along, I'm open to that. I think speakers expressed that we get the government opened up again, and we're willing to have that conversation.
And there's the Lucy football. There it is right there. Charlie Brown, don't fall for it this time. You see exactly? I mean, I fucking called it. I knew that's exactly what they were going to do. Ugh, I hate being right all the time. Yeah, Chad, culture wars do not lower the costs of living.
And yeah, and frankly, so those are some things that I think are perhaps real possibilities, but it doesn't happen absent voting to open up the government. And so the Democrats
couldn't do that if we wanted, because there are no House representatives quorum to be met if there are any changes, because half of the Republican caucus is not there. Elise Stefanik's bill would not be able to be voted on to fund the troops because the Republicans are not there. They're on vacation. And I'm really tired of him lying about this. They can't do anything. They don't have the numbers. They need the Democrats to save their ass like they do every time.
Democrats who are interested in that sort of some sort of pathway on that need to, again, come to their senses and vote to open the government.
Mr. Leader, are you going to have any conversations over the next couple of days with Leader Schumer about that? And, you know, to Jake's point, I guess, do you feel like maybe you're getting closer to an off-ramp here?
Well, I think Leader Schumer is checked out. I don't think this is...
That was his way of saying no. No, we're not going to. They're going to capitulate to us, or we're going to expect our bad messaging to take place and actually, you know, shift the narrative. But, I mean, she just asked right there, are you going to meet up? Are you going to negotiate? And he's like, well, he's checked out. You don't just go ahead and insult the other side because of your inability to make compromise. Oh, the tall dude, that's John Thune, Senate Majority Leader.
It's going to happen. I think this is going to happen organically with enough reasonable Senate Democrats who care enough about doing the right thing for their country and not what's in the best interests of their left-wing political base to come forward and help us find a solution. And those conversations continue.
You dumb fuck. Do you know how many of your base is affected by this healthcare subsidies going away? Do you understand the percentage of your own electoral base that's going to be affected? Like, you can, like I said, you can insult, you can blame, you can deflect, cry, laugh, dance, sing. It doesn't fucking matter. When your constituency gets hit with those bills, that's when the cows come home.
But, you know, the insistence of the Democrat leadership on their plan or nothing else is, I mean, I don't know how do you even come forward with a proposal that has $1.5 trillion in new spending, wipes out everything that we did last summer with the reconciliation bill, including the $50 billion that goes to rural hospitals, and wipes out all the provisions that banned.
Oh, you mean those hospitals that you chose to defund to give tax breaks to billionaires? The feigned indignation is what pisses me off the most, because they know exactly what they voted for, and then they turn around and they use those people that they fucked in their legislation as their talking points, because they know that so much of their base are just like, we don't like trans people, we don't like immigrant people, and we don't care if Tom Homan took $50,000 in a bag. He could be snorting cocaine off a hooker's ass for all I care, as long as he's getting them immigrants out. So, you know, it's not necessarily like they're looking, you know, for the nuance of policy.
Free health care to non-citizens. I mean, really? You think that's going to pass the Senate or even come close to getting a vote in the House or a signature by the President? What they're talking about is unserious. It's been unserious from the very beginning. So, yes, if they want to sit down and talk about opening up the government and doing some of the things that I've suggested and we've suggested, which is, you know, allowing the conference committee to work on the 3 appropriation bills we've passed, bringing other appropriations bills to the floor so we can start funding the government the old-fashioned way, and there's an interest on both sides in doing that.
No, because rescission exists. You'll pass those bills, but then you'll just put them through rescission and be like, we don't want this, we don't want this, we don't want this, we don't want this. No. We're used to your games. Like I said, you're not going to pull the fucking football away anymore. We're used to it. Actions speak louder than words. You can say this, that, and the other and promise it all day long, but we know what you're going to do. Your legislative record shows it.
And yeah, a conversation about what we do on the expiring enhanced ACA subsidies. And there's a lot of conversations going on around that. But that doesn't happen.
You can literally see him like nervously drumming on the desk because he knows that he's lying. He's like, yeah, we'll say that we'll get to that, but we're not gonna fucking get to that. Just like we kept saying that we have no idea what Project 2025 is. No, not at all. And then all of a sudden Trump is like, Ross Vogt of Project 2025 fame. I'm sorry, you have no fucking credibility. None.
But until we get the government open.
You wanted to know, you got a call with the Freedom Caucus and you said you were working on rescissions and that rescissions would come up again potentially. Rescissions is something that the Democrats have said is a reason that perhaps there's a lack of trust. Can you both
Holy shit, yeah.
Democrats as well as what rescissions are you talking about?
Let's talk about trust.
Wait a minute. Is the media doing their fucking job? Did they literally just ask about rescissions? Hold on, I'm going to rewind that.
And that rescissions would come up again potentially. Rescissions is something that the Democrats have said is a reason that perhaps there's a lack of trust. Can you both address the question of trust with the Democrats as well as what rescissions are you talking about?
Let's talk about trust. Who's in good faith? We sent over this clean document. We didn't load it up with any partisan.
Nice deflection there, Mike Johnson. Yeah, let's talk about trust. How about you saying that you would fund the ACA after everything is signed? And we know that you wouldn't. And she just called you out on rescissions. So therefore, you have to go back to your fucking talking point. Now, I don't know. I got some booze near me. I will take a fucking giant swig out of my decanter on camera if he brings this back to undocumented immigrants.
Priorities, because we're not playing games here. We wanted to keep the lights on so that we can continue the appropriations process to spend the taxpayers' money more responsibly. I did a conference call within the last hour with the House Freedom Caucus and a lot of journalists, and one of the questions was, are you all concerned about the national debt? You darn right we are. The Republicans are.
My ass. You just saw what happened with the big bullshit bill, how much they added to the national debt. Every fucking answer is a lie. An easily researched lie. Everything that they base their entire platform off of is a lie.
Don't seem to care. We crossed this $37 trillion threshold. It is not a sustainable situation. It took us a long time as a nation to get into this financial hole, and we are doing everything we can in every possible way to get us back to sound fiscal responsibility.
No, you're fucking lying.
And what does that include? Well, not only an infusion of pro-growth policies like we implemented with the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Families Tax Package.
Oh, you mean the one that added to the national debt to give the richest tax cuts? That bill?
So many things that are going to help the economy, short-term and long-term. But also, we have to reduce spending. We have to. The government spends too much. It's too large. It does too many things. It does almost nothing well. As Reagan used to remind us, government is not the solution to the problem. Government is the problem.
Then why the fuck did you run to be part of government? I don't understand there's always the juxtaposition. They're either alphas and they're extremely scared of everything, or they hate the government, yet they want to be part of it, or, I mean, I can just think of so many different things, you know. Antifa are, you know, pants-shitting crybabies who, you know, would have dropped at the first sign of combat on D-Day, or they're extremely well-organized terrorist functions. Joe Biden was either a dementia-ridden fool or he was the greatest mastermind since, I don't know, Alphonse Capone. So I'm so fucking tired of the juxtapositions just because you want to have it both ways, because that's the thing, is you got to be the hero bot. You know, you have to be the victim and the hero at the same time. And I think that's honestly the core tenet of conservative belief. He just proved it right there with saying that, you know, why do we want to, like, he's literally bitching about not funding the government, then talking about how the government actually doesn't work as he's part of government.
And so are we in favor of reducing spending? Yes.
No, you're not.
We're trying to do that in a responsible manner. The reconciliation package that we passed saves $1.6 trillion of taxpayer funds. We eliminated fraud, waste, and abuse. We worked towards efficiency.
No, when you say fraud, waste, and abuse, you mean that you cut from actual programs in the same way that Doge did. But Doge actually stole our information simultaneously, so that was a little bonus.
To get the government working better for the people. We're proud of that. There's no legislative body in the history of planet Earth that's ever saved $1.6 trillion or anything close to that. But it's the first of many steps. So we have to appropriate at lower, more responsible levels, not in a way that disenfranchises or hurts any American that relies upon vital services, but in a way that makes government work better for people. We're excited about that. A rescissions package is part of our process. I know the Democrats hate to cut spending in any way, in any form. But we are for that because
because spending is what, you know, allows us to have social safety net programs. You don't give a fuck about any of that because you want to ensure that the richest get their money. It's really simple. Democrats want to ensure that the poor are taken care of. You want to ensure that the rich are taken care of while blaming the poor.
we have to make government work better for people. If you look at the polling, the people's faith in the federal government is at an all-time low. Why?
Who the fuck is in charge right now? And you wonder why people have all-time low in the federal government? There's fucking tanks on the streets and everything is more expensive. You fucking tell me.
Because they don't see that it's being done well. And we are doggedly determined to get back to those principles. And so the Democrats are going to decry any limitation of spending. Watch them. Have you ever seen a Democrat ever want to reduce a federal program? Reduce the size or scope of government? No. They always want to spend more. We cannot afford to do
when you say reduce the size of federal government, you mean take it down to one fucking person. You're talking about getting rid of, the three branches that America's depended on in order to, continue to be a constitutional republic and turning it into a fucking a theocratic monarchy. Everything that you say has been blown to shit by Stephen Miller with 2 words: plenary authority. I'm sorry. Everything that you say is just a smokescreen for that tiny blip of time that Stephen Miller said the quiet part out loud.
that. We have to do it better. The Republican Party are the ones that are going to return us to fiscal sanity. And all of this is part of that.
By adding to the national
this
debt?
simple CR is part of that. We didn't load it up with partisan priorities. We tried to make it simple because we had appropriators in the Republican and Democrat parties who joined together and said, in the House, and said, you know what? Give us 7 more weeks. Give us until November 21st. Let's keep the lights on. Very simple, clean measure, as simple as possible. Keep everything at status quo so we can work together and come to consensus to spend the taxpayers' money more responsibly.
Oh,
Yes,
you mean like
yes.
bailing out $20 billion to Argentina, who implemented Project 2025 gleefully on camera, showing all the departments that they would get rid of to save money, and now they're, you know, their economy is in the fucking toilet, but because I guess Malay gave a chainsaw to Elon and probably is going to offer Trump somewhere to flee to if he ever has to, we get to pay them $20 billion that they then take and sell their soybeans to China, thus fucking the American farmers. Sorry, Johnson, it's not working.
We're committed to that. Thank you.
Is it appropriate for senators to be using the government shutdown and going and having campaign fundraisers?
That's an interesting question. Should people be using the government shutdown to use it to have campaign fundraisers? That's certainly an interesting question from the media. And obviously you could see that he had no interest in answering that. So I hope that this has been an educational experience for you in a lesson in communication, because words are only weapons. Because, I don't know, if you're into political violence, I just say get a hobby. Like, I don't know, you find something that you can't do and get really good at it, because that's not how it works in a democracy. And or a constitutional republic, as you know, some detractors like to ensure that you say. But hey, gang, what is a constitutional republic a form of? Exactly. And with that, until next time, it's been great getting to see everybody. It's been great getting to analyze this. And if you're not in the Discord, come on in and party sometime. We're always doing something. Never know what. It could be gaming. It could be listening to music. It could be hanging out with special guests from other Twitch channels. You never know. But until then, later, skaters.
Go to skipfriesjr.net for podcasts.
Record player that I could just spin records all the time.
I run into the bathroom and I'm covered in blood. Like I had put my tooth through my bottom lip.
For music. For gaming and pro-liberty game rants. That's skipfriesjr.net.
Go Skips. Skip Bronze Jr. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. Happy Friday. Cynthia, good to see you.